Getting our groove on, Rush Limbaugh and the EIB Network Open Line Friday, and we are now into our 25th year of service to all who live. Okay, the media and their cherry-picked economists are doing their best to dumb down the unemployment picture. They predict 100,000 jobs will be created in the month. We get around 160,000, and they run around and say better than expected. And they're all happy, and they're looking at this through the prism of Barack Obama's reelection. Anything they can do to cover up the bad news or lie about it and make it appear to be good news. The United States economy, this economy, sometimes I feel like I'm beating my head against a wall. Sometimes I really wonder if spending all this time on economic news makes any sense anymore. This economy should be growing by hundreds of thousands of jobs every month. If this economy is to roar back, if we are to have a genuine recovery, if we're to get back to some semblance of where this nation is in terms of the rest of the world and the economic engine that drives it, we're talking 400, 500,000 jobs a month that must be created just to stay even before we even talk about any growth. And they're out there doing handstands over 160,000 jobs, and that number's likely made up out of whole cloth because of a computer algorithm. This is the worst so-called recovery after a recession in modern American history. We are talking about the American economy here. This economy is the engine of the wealth of the entire world. We sit here. We analyze a couple thousand jobs here, a couple thousand jobs there, 0.1% increase or decrease in the unemployment rate, and we're told what to expect when. And it's all just a game. Everything is just a game to the elites that report this stuff, that calculate it, that disseminate it. We need to be growing by 400,000 or 500, even 600,000 jobs a month coming out of a recession. That's what's standard. That's what's normal. This isn't even a recovery. We're nowhere near a recovery. There's no strengthening going on. More and more people are becoming more dependent each day on the government. The welfare rolls, or the dependency rolls, are growing. They're not shrinking. And that growth is being promoted and advertised and sought by this administration. You get all excited about gross domestic product of 1.5, 1.7%. Hey, you know what? It was revised as actually 1.7 last month, not 1.5. Whatever they're saying. Our GDP, this is the United States of America that we're talking about. Our GDP ought to be 5%, 6%, 7%, not 1.5, not 1.7, not 1.9. It wasn't that long ago that we had 5, 6, 7% GDP growth. It wasn't 50 years ago. It was 10 or less. 8.3% unemployment. That means that under Barack Obama, unemployment has never been under 8%. And this is even before all of the massive tax increases that are associated with Obamacare kick in, before the massive tax increases kick in when the Bush tax rates expire in January, and before the regime's massive EPA and other regulations, which are being held back until after the election. You wait and institute it if he wins. There's a whole bunch of damage that's on hold, folks. There are a whole bunch of regulations and a bunch of hidden fee increases, user fees, tax increases that are not scheduled to implement until after this election. So What's the role of the media? You know as well as I know. The role of the media is to find good news for Obama wherever they can, even if they have to make it up. Now, I've said all this before. I don't know how many times since this guy was immaculated. I've said all this before. The only way that we can grow this economy and create opportunities, create wealth, create jobs, see real GDP growth over 4%, see real job growth of hundreds of thousands a month. The only way to do that is to get rid of this economically illiterate president who is driven by an ideological straitjacket that makes it impossible for him to do what must be done. What must be done cannot happen under Obama. It will not happen. He doesn't understand it. He is in an ideological straitjacket. He is obstinate and stubborn, and he's not all that smart. And we are paying the price. It is Barack Obama standing in the way of blue-collar jobs. It's Barack Obama standing in the way of small business job creation, big business job creation. It is Barack Obama standing in the way of a healthy and vigorous economy. He's a wet blanket. He's a wet blanket that is holding this nation back while sitting there telling us that his policies have worked and that the only way out of this mess is to not go back to the failed policies of the past. The policies of the past that worked are precisely what needs to be done and cannot be done as long as he is in the White House. There's a giant blanket smothering this economy. He's the one smothering our economy, smothering opportunity for young people, smothering hardworking people, smothering one industry after another. I've got some sound bites coming up from a manager at a coal plant begging the American people to wake up. His business has just been thrown out of business because of Barack Obama and his sheer hatred for coal. The energy source, by the way, for his electric car from Obama Motors, the Chevrolet Volt, all of this, we're talking about real people who are being smothered, real people who can't find jobs, real people whose ability to create wealth is being impaired. These are not numbers. It isn't a game.